Okay, I want to take it back to the beginning, back to start, back to basics. I get a lot of questions on like YouTube comments down there on the comments, asking super basic questions about tone especially, but how do I get tones using my digital processor, my floor pod especially. A lot of guys have the pod, the Line 6 stuff, which right now it's the affordable stuff, and it's some of the best stuff right now. It's really good stuff, the Line 6 stuff. Problem is, when you're running a floor pod and not using a guitar amp, you're handicapping yourself a little bit. Guitar tone has just kind of some main components. I'm just going to start from basics. You got your guitar, and you go into effects, and then you go into an amp. These are your big components. Forgive me for being so basic. Now, what people break this down into now is just a guitar, and now the amp is almost part of your effects unit. The amp modeling thing they're trying to eliminate this most of the time for volume's sake, so that you're not hurting people's ears. It's one less piece of gear to buy. But this component right here is such an important part of what people expect from an electric guitar. It just doesn't sound quite like an electric guitar without an amp. So, when a lot of you have asked questions about how do I make my guitar sounds sound good using this, the Pod X3, floor pod, whatever, or the Boss, or even Guitar Rig on your laptop, my first inclination is to say, well, you can't. But that's not entirely true. You can get really close, you can do a really good job, but it takes some intentionality. Here's what happens with the digital effects we're using. They summarize, and you're either very clean or you're very dirty. And I'm generalizing, but you have to kind of fight to get into that middle area where all of this analog stuff kind of lives. The analog thing, you know, you've got your just clean guitar sound. Now let's get a clean guitar sound. It's just clean, my guitar, no effects, running straight into my my Marshall Blues Breaker. Now that's a very pleasant, warm sound. If you go to an amp modeler and you put it on clean, you're getting something almost so clean it's sterile. And then if you will use, okay, let's go over to the dirt channel. You push the channel button, what do you get? You get metal. It's the opposite end of the spectrum. And so finding your way into that middle ground is what I'm hoping to help some of you folks with. It's something to aspire to for all of us, but it's a challenge, and I'm just riffing, so maybe we'll find it. So here's what I think where a lot of people find themselves is you turn on your effects unit and you kind of sound like this. It just that's me pretending to be completely digital. It's ratty, it's thin, it's horrible. And a lot of people just put up with it because, well, it's an electric guitar sound, so here we go, let's worship. And it's painful. I'm not even going to do that again. That, by the way, was the Color Drive, which in real life is a great pedal. I own that because I saw it on Stoogie's pedal board, so it's like, I gotta have it. But it kind of just does one thing, and it's just a cool, ratty overdrive kind of sound. So nothing against that model on here, that pedal, but it's not right for what we're shooting for. And a lot of you guys, you're probably in love with gain. I think every guitar player struggles with either the love for gain, or for me, for the longest time, it was a love of compression. I turned on my compressor and left it on the whole set. And that wasn't really the best use of that resource. So we're going to find this middle ground. What my first idea would be, when you're modeling an amp, is unless you're doing that big rhythm sound. Let's find the if you're doing like One Way or I Am Free or something where it's a big 80s rock sound, right? That is easy for a floor pod to do. It's easy for the Boss pedals to do. It's easy for this to do. That sound, you turn on your unit, you got 80s rock. That's easy. And then you've got your clean sounds, which I don't have to simulate on here. You go to your clean sounds, and actually that's where I'd like to start. Start with a clean Vox AC30, or a clean Fender Twin, or a clean Hot Rod. See if you can get one of the 800, the Marshall 800 or the Marshall 900 sounds to clean up for you. Then, the first tool that I would suggest finding in your units is where is it? There we go. A compressor. And a compressor by itself is not going to be very pleasant to a lot of you folks. It's choking me. There's my sound, here's a compressor. I want to talk for a second what the compressor is doing. I'm going to just give you a little diagram. When you make a sound, so here's 0, here's loud, here's the opposite. Your sound does this, right? So that's you making sound. You're getting louder. Here's what a compressor does. So these are dBs, decibels. And it's the measurement of sound. 1 decibel is the smallest change in volume that the human ear can distinguish. Okay? So that's how we measure sound. What we're doing, let's just say this is 30 dB. Okay? So this is 30 decibels right there. You set your threshold at a certain decibel level down here. Let's say there's your threshold. So right here, this is an imaginary line that you tell the compressor, okay, whenever the sound gets louder than there's the threshold, I need you to take my signal and turn it down by this much. Then that percentage or ratio is the measurement of how much you squish the top part of your sound, the loudest part of your sound. So if I'm saying, I want you to just squish it 100% of the time, what it's going to do is my sound will no longer look like that. My sound will look like that. And this now turns into more of what we call a limiter, because like it sounds, it's limiting the sound. You can't go over that ceiling, and so